is taught that Maitreya is called Maitreya because he attained the samadhi called Maitri, meaning compassion. The third virtue of the bodhisattva that Maitreya exemplifies is virya. It means vigor. And this virya is the strength that is in the physical body that attracts to itself the spiritual strength. This is why we must be upon that diet that is right for us. I realized that at a period in my life when my strength was waning, that I would not have the strength to complete my mission. And so I made a fierce call to Saint Germain. And I said, Saint Germain, you have to bring me the diet of the Eastern adepts and a cook to cook that diet. And my call went forth, and there came to me then the macrobiotic diet and a cook to prepare it, and properly understood and properly practiced, that diet is profoundly healing and establishes a profound peace in the body temple. I know that when the body is out of sorts, when the acid-alkaline balance is not in order, when the organs are not fully functioning, you can have, through the biochemistry being off, conditions of insanity, all kinds of neuroses. You can have depression, you can have unreality, and you can have a lack of physical strength. I tell you, keepers of the flame and all who are here today, you must get your body temple in order. I have seen many diets and followed many over the years, but I have never seen such peace and self-mastery engendered by the mere eating of food that is proper and eating it properly, as I have found on this course. So I hope you will look into it and get a good counselor and see to it that you understand that real self-mastery is the mastery of the desire body and of what you put into the mouth. If you cannot control what you put into the mouth, then you are not going to be a bodhisattva. Whether you put a cigarette in your mouth, or you put alcohol in your mouth, or you take drugs, and on, you will not be in command of yourself. Sugar is a most deadly poison, and Maitreya has told us that if we are going to be his chelas, we must not eat processed sugar. Many compensate for this by eating a fruit sugar, a fructose, or sweetening that comes purely from fruits. This has to be taken in moderation because it is yin, and if you take too much yin food, you will be too extended or distended, and you will find yourself vulnerable to lower vibrations of the astral plane when you want to be in attunement with the ascended masters. I myself do not partake of sugar or fruit juices, but I take plenty of vegetables and grains in which I find all of the sugar that I need. I find the endless strength from this to stand by the hour, to be in our sessions for any length of time that is required. To me, it is very little to give up for the benefits that I can give to you in the process. But I can tell you that no one can give up sugar without a struggle, and it is a struggle. And I found that I could not eliminate it entirely until I called upon the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and upon Lord Maitreya to strengthen me in my vow. Likewise, I no longer partake of coffee or anything with caffeine in it, and therefore, in the same manner, I determined to do this so that I could make my body an acceptable offering, an acceptable sacrifice. And I realized, though medical science does not teach it, that coffee is debilitating and that it causes the disintegration and the old age and the disease of our organs, all of our organs. And I think it's a very serious problem because it is a stimulant and it is a drug. And yet many people simply cannot walk around without their coffee or their black tea, which is similarly harmful because of the caffeine content. So let us not think because we are in the new age and we have exalted thoughts that we must not give attention to the body. It is the vessel in which the Buddha is intended to reside. Your full Buddhahood must come to its flowering in this life, in this body, and the mother flame within you. And so you cannot partake of these things of the world. The food of the world is not the diet of the adepts. How many here want to become an adept? Don't you want to be an adept in this life? I do. And why do I want to be an adept? Not because I need any glory or want any glory. I want to be able to help others. I want to have the full command of my forces, the full access of the light and energy of God, so that I can do all things that I see must be done to complete the setting forth of the teachings. You have a mission that's equally as important as mine or any other bodhisattva who has ever lived. And do not ever minimize your purpose in life or what you are to become. You have a maximum service to render, and what is limiting in your rendering of that service is your karmic condition, what karma you have, and that transmutation of karma, as you know, can be accelerated through the use of the violet flame. What is limited is your circumstance, which is karma, and then your condition of your body. People say they're too old or they're not well enough to go here, to do there, and they nurture problems that are solely caused by diet. You can undo that. You can have a resurrection in your physical body where you need it, and God needs you in physical embodiment to minister to this world. So you have to start thinking of the trade-off. The temporary enjoyment of this or that food. By the way, I do not partake of any dairy products either. And so you see, that means giving up ice cream and milkshakes and sundaes and all the other things that are done with milk in our society. But you see, the benefits are glorious. The benefits are to have a crystal clear mind that is receptive to the Holy Spirit. You get very clogged up on these products. And of course, they cause colds and all kinds of things. You might be wondering what there is left to eat. Well, there's the glorious fare of all the wonderful grains that God has provided and all the wonderful vegetables that God has provided. And you can eat fish on the macrobiotic diet. And if you chew your food well and you look at all the different recipes you can make with the grains and the vegetables, you will find that there is simply no end to variety at all. And you don't miss any of the things that were not really intended for the sons and daughters of God. So, kindness, fearless compassion, and virya, or vigor. Write those down and be sure you work to attain them. And if you don't have that full vigor in your body, know that you are less than the vessel of God today. The name Maitreya is derived from Maitri, meaning kindness or love. Some commentators also trace the word Maitri to Mitra, meaning friend, and Mayer, meaning mother. Hardayal notes that in the Buddhist writings, the quality of Maitri is the opposite of malice. You know why it's the opposite of malice? Malice, hatred, anger take a lot of energy, a lot of intense energy. Turn it around and you get intense love. Maitreya is characterized by the desire to do good to others and to provide them with what is useful, practical, pragmatic for their path. Not just metaphysical concepts, but how do I do it today? How do I make it? How do I get enough money to do what I'm supposed to do? Education is a very important part of your self-transcendence. An education that is practical, that you can implement and you can use. Maitri is regarded as a great power in the universe. Maitri, M-A-I-T-R-I. It prompts a bodhisattva to hope, pray, and wish for the welfare of others without passion or expectation of reward. It can tame wild beasts and venomous serpents. It prevents and allays physical and mental pain and evil. It establishes peace and concord among mankind. The perfect Buddhas can emit rays of Maitri from their bodies, which are diffused all over the world and promote peace and joy everywhere. That is exactly what we were doing in our meditations last evening, sending forth those light rays from our hearts and from our chakras. Practice makes perfect. If you are giving forth light from your chakras, you are pulling down light, and God will not withhold it from you. You need to see this. The more you allow to pour through you and the more you allow to go out, the more it accelerates. So when you give, you are priming the pump. And you prime the pump, and it continues to intensify. It's like any other talent, a virtuoso, violinist, an opera singer. Anyone who has excelled has done that thing all their lives. You can make your major work day by day becoming the Buddha. And to do it, you need to call down the light, and that's why I am so grateful for the decrees of the Ascended Masters, because they are truly the missing link, and they give us that acceleration of the balancing of karma and the acceleration of light for our God self-mastery. Sangharakshita, a Buddhist monk and scholar, explains that in addition to wisdom and compassion, the bodhisattva ideal encompasses the quality of virya. He says, despite the emphasis on compassion, the bodhisattva is no mere sentimentalist. And that's what we've got to get rid of as we become examples of the new age of Aquarius, as we carry the banner of Maitreya and the World Mother. Mere sentimentality is not what the new age is all about. He says, nor for all his tenderness is he an effeminate weakling. He is the great hero, the embodiment not only of wisdom and compassion, but also of virya, or vigor. A word which, like the etymologically equivalent, virility, signifies both energy and masculine potency. What is masculine potency? Masculine potency is the full fire of the spirit of the I am that I am, the Holy Christ Self within you. It is the full fire of the Godhead. That is what the masculine ray is. The feminine ray is the ray of the Mother of the world who embodies the matter universe. And that is what you are and what your body is. The mother manifestation. Into that body must be poured that tremendous power of the spirit. If the body isn't balanced in the yin and yang principles, it cannot hold such a fierce intensity of God's fire. And that is why you must correct your diet. This aspect of the bodhisattva's personality is prominent in the well-known Ahishatra image of Maitreya, with its powerful torso, massive yet graceful limbs. The right hand is raised, palm facing outwards, and fingers slightly curved in the symbolical gesture of bestowing fearlessness, the Abhaya Mudra. This Abhaya Mudra you can use at any time. You visualize that ray of white fire coming out from your hand. And if you want to clear the way to give forth divine love, you simply send forth fearlessness flame. It's a very positive flame. It makes all your recipients fearless. I call to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. I call to Almighty God to send forth the fearlessness flame into this audience. I call for the stripping of each one of all doubt and fear and all substance that causes trepidation and anguish. Let it be dissolved by fearlessness flame. So you can listen to me in fearless compassion, and I can know that this light going forth also protects me from the tremendous fears of the world when they hear the teachings that are the true mysticism of Christ and of Buddha. It incites fear in the religious and the non-religious, because there is tremendous power in this teaching. Har Dayal writes, enlightenment depends entirely on virya. Where there is virya, there is bodhi. You know the experience of feeling so depleted and so tired that you can't think and you can't remember. I have had that experience. Well, are we going to stand for it? Are we going to let our minds get so tired that we can't think and we can't remember? No, we have to change the chemistry of the body. It takes time, but you can do it. Then there are people that you meet that can't sit still for 5 minutes, or while they're sitting, they're constantly bumping their knee or tapping their toe or wiggling. And that is the yinness of all the sugar and all of the drinks that people drink today. And so they have no togetherness. They're not concentrated. They cannot listen to you long enough to understand a simple concept of metaphysics. You have to be aware of this. It's a hopeless situation. And many of these people are famous people, well-known people, and you can hardly go up to them and tell them that the reason they can't concentrate is what they eat. But that's a large part of it. And so you have to hope that they can focus long enough to get a few words and a few sentences that might change their lives. Just look at coffee nerves, what it does to people and how irritable they can become. And that's not their true self, but they're making karma by misqualifying energy. People cannot sit still long enough to get a teaching that will transform their lives and make them truly be effective leaders in their communities. And it is a tragedy. One of the reasons I tell you about my diet is to encourage you to do it also, and so that people will know that there is a diet that goes along with the path. Virya promotes a bodhisattva's material and spiritual well-being. It is far better to live only for a day with full virya than to vegetate without energy during 100 years. And what about all of our beloved elderly personages in this nation? Those who get on in years and vegetate in nursing homes and cannot think and are drugged up and are living on dead food, depleted food, when they have 20, 30 years of their lives that they could give in a very active service if they only understood the principle of the spiritual and physical virya in the body. Does not your heart go out? I mean, I am so concerned and profoundly grieved that people do not live to fulfill the mission of a lifetime because their bodies are no longer functioning, their brains are no longer functioning. It's just the tragic tale of our society today. And of course, we are all moving toward that level of age. And if we don't correct and turn around our diets now, it's very difficult to do so later because the body is so conditioned to that food that it gets very upset when you start trying to change someone's diet at the age of 70 or 80 or 90 years old. It's no longer possible, or hardly possible. With God, all things are possible, of course. So I want you to be concerned about this in yourselves and to demonstrate a physical path of Maitreya. We want Maitreya to come into physical embodiment with all his bodhisattvas. If we want him here, we have to become like them so that we can be a magnet for them. In Buddhist teachings, virya is one of the 10 paramitas, or perfect virtues, that one must practice. One must practice and perfect as a prerequisite to the attainment of bodhisattvahood. Virya has been translated as strength, strenuousness, manliness, zeal, courage, power, diligence, vigor, or energy. I ask you to go for it and use the first ray blue decrees for the first ray masters who exemplify that power to assist you. Buddhist teachings reveal that Gautama and Maitreya, like each of us, had to overcome shortcomings in order to progress on the bodhisattva path and earn their Buddhahood. In the Lotus Sutra, for example, the bodhisattva Manjushri tells Maitreya the story of a bodhisattva who had 800 pupils. Among them, says Manjushri, was one who was slothful, covetous, greedy for gain, and clever. He was also excessively desirous of glory, but very fickle, so that the lessons dictated to him and the reciting done by him faded from his memory as soon as they were learned. He then tells Maitreya, "He who then was so slothful was thyself, and it was I who then was the preacher of the law." I tell you this anecdote so that you can feel so much closer to the Ascended Masters and recognize that their perfection came through many human embodiments. The Ascended Masters tell us that they have gone through everything that we have gone through at some time or another, and that they have full compassion and understanding. And therefore you have to get rid of sin and the sense of sin, self-condemnation, throw it into the violet flame and recognize that you are a son, a daughter of God, and you have a right to your full Christhood in this life, and you must not let the world place these matrices upon you of condemnation.